Nice show, Sunstrider. Welcome to what'll be the introductory episode to San Andreas Finest, which is the secondary FiveM community that I joined after everything that happened in DoJ happened. That I do still have just over a month until I can ban appeal to DoJ, so I can go back to hanging out with Kai and all that stuff, and the rest of them. But SAF is a community that I've kind of gone back and forth with a little bit, and I'm kind of not exactly proud of it because I kind of, back when I was still in DoJ and I got put on the 2-month mandatory LOA stuff back in December when I was going through the worst of my mental health issues, I joined SAF as also a secondary community then, but I was taking DoJ way too seriously that I ended up just stopped playing SAF, and I left because I wasn't making activity requirements for this community, and I focused entirely on DoJ, and then my mental health escalated, and shit happened in DoJ, and I got my 6-month ban in DoJ, and now I'm crawling back here to this community just so I have an outlet and stuff. So it's been a bit of a rough journey, but SAF let me back in regardless. Took a little bit longer to get promoted past probationary. That's probably because I joined and then left a month in. And I don't plan on doing that again to them, even if I am allowed back into DoJ, because I don't want to feel like I'm screwing them over again. It's a little bit unfair to them, I guess. But regardless, this is the community that I went to after. And the only biggest difference is that it's a smaller community, so they don't have 24/7 patrol. Unlike DoJ does, I can't just jump in and patrol whenever I want to and make an episode whenever I want to. But the cool thing about SAF is that they allow mostly everybody to just record without a media team. The only stipulation is that you can't be probationary in whatever department you're in, and you have to be in for 4 weeks. Just as, I guess, a insurance policy to make sure that you're in to stay. Which, again, is probably why I took a little bit longer to get promoted past probationary civ. Regardless, San Andreas Finest is similar to DoJ in the fact that it is a scene-based community. It's not life RP, don't permadeath characters, this, that, and the other thing. It leans a little bit more on life RP because it actually has a proper court system and judicial system. So if your character gets arrested in SAF, you actually have to go through the judicial process, like checking, pleading guilty or non-guilty, having a court date, or it's like you get, a traffic citation, you got to go to traffic court if you want to fight it, this, that, and the other thing. When in DoJ, you get arrested, you wait, if you get arrested past 400 seconds, then you can't use the character anymore that day, but you just kind of get out of jail and then poof, 6 months have passed and then you're just back out onto the street. So it's a little bit more realistic and a little bit more life RP in that regard, but it's still a scenario-based stuff. In general, there's no food or water or health bar or anything like. I mean, there is a health bar, but there's not food or water or anything like that, like in New Day RP, for example. Right. And as mentioned previously, it is a bit of a smaller community, so they don't have 24/7 patrol. Patrols only start at a specific time in the evening, which Kai did try to join this community so we could patrol again together, but unfortunately because of time zones, it's already almost 1 o'clock in the morning for her now, and patrol just started 40-ish minutes ago because the servers went down and they had to reconfigure everything and recobble everything. So the server's actually been down for 10 days. Right after I got my civ promotion, servers went down, which is why I haven't gotten this episode out sooner, or else I would have. But yeah, she tries to hang out, but because it's so late, she's either already in bed like she is now, or she's knee deep in DoJ, about to clock off for the day and go to bed. So unfortunately, time zones make it a little bit difficult for us to hang out in this server, which is why I am planning on reapplying to DoJ in September. And there are a lot of things I'm going to do differently in both DoJ and SAF, so I don't repeat the same mistakes and I don't fall into that mental health pit that I was in and just try to avoid stuff. And the biggest issue is that I kind of took DoJ way too fucking seriously. Alright? I let it almost completely consume my life and I barely did anything else. And I get it. You know, we do want to try to keep it as realistic as possible in RP, which is why we do RP to begin with. So it's not just another GTA Online server. But I also have to remember that it is just a game at the end of the day, and just don't take anything that happens in the server personally, because it's all in server, it's all in character stuff, and it doesn't reflect on how people feel IRL, right? Unless there's some sort of drama going on, but that's a whole different kettle of fucking fish. That I need not get into, because that's also kind of what caused all of my mental health issues before, so I'd rather not repeat the same mistakes again. Which is also why I've kind of been a lot more passive in SAF as well as I've been in DoJ. I haven't been as engaged or as active. I've been mostly keeping to myself. I'm kind of scared to hang out with other people, because hanging out with people means the possibility for drama to happen, which means the possibility of my mental issues coming back and just repeating the same mistakes, which I want to avoid. And the fact that it's a brand new community, right? I've only been a member of the community for a couple months, and I barely know anybody here, and I have no friends in here, right? In DoJ, I had 2 years under my belt in DoJ, and I made a lot of friends, and, you know, fucking met my current girlfriend in there, made a bunch of other friends, and I know people in there, right? And I still communicate with some of the people from there, which is why I want back so badly. But that will be something for September to worry about. Something for future Jet to worry about. Because today, we're talking about SAF, obviously. So, I don't know. Maybe once I start making content for it, maybe I could start getting a little bit more active in it. Maybe I can start, you know, I guess, trying to maybe connect with some people in this community so I can have a little bit of a better time and a little bit more fun and all that stuff, because, you know, my history in FiveM has definitely made me a little bit more of a introverted person when it comes to FiveM content and FiveM communities. But that doesn't mean I don't want to completely shut down. I still want to have fun with it. But regardless, moving on to what you guys can expect, pretty much just more of the same stuff, right? I'm still going to be treating it as quote unquote story based RP, which is a term that I got from the Ballas in DoJ, because in the Ballas SOP, I remember the term story based RP came up, where, you know, you focus on the characters and you focus on, you know, building a story more so looking at it from life RP or scene based RP. You just focus on creating a story and stuff. Which also means that I'm still not very big on priorities or kidnappings, or, you know, spamming fucking priorities, spamming kidnappings, bank heists, stuff like that. You know, people who do that, obviously, they can, but that's just not what I prefer to do. So, I've obviously, as you can see, Victoria Longbow is standing here, so Victoria and Jessica are in SAF. More on that later when I go over the characters, of course, but yeah, that's just more of what to expect. Obviously, things are probably going to be a little bit slower. I don't know how often SAF content is going to be, because I do not, like, as previously mentioned, I don't want to repeat the same mistakes as before. I don't want to take it too seriously to the point where it completely consumes my entire life. I also don't. Also, one of the mistakes I made when I was a DoJ member was the fact that I tried turning everything into an episode, no matter how small or insignificant it was. if I did a business patrol and only got 2 customers, I tried to turn that into an episode. Right? 2 customers in like fucking 2 hours or something like that. That's not really worth trying to upload. Or it's like one law enforcement call out in an hour. Probably also not worth it either. And kind of funny, that's something that's so furious, completely unrelated to DOJ whatsoever. Just a member of the friend group outside of DOJ that I do a lot of multiplayer stuff with. One of the quote unquote boys that I always refer to being Wraith, Ethan, Furious, and sometimes Lines. When he gets a chance to play anyway. And he's been trying to tell me that for years, and I guess I kind of learned that the hard way with getting a 6-month termination from the community that I spent 2 years of my life in. But yeah, that's definitely one of the reasons why I don't know how often SAF episodes are going to be. I want to try to avoid making that mistake again. As well as I gave myself way too many, like, what do you call it, activity requirements in DOJ, where I'm pretty sure they made it so your primary department only needs an hour and all your secondary departments only need like half an hour. But I was also a member of 8 different businesses and 4 different criminal organizations, which all require an hour each, plus all of the reserve departments that I was a part of. It kind of put a lot on my shoulders, and I didn't want to get rid of anything, but I also knew that I couldn't keep it up, which put a lot of more stress on myself and all that stuff. So, I mean, SAF works a little bit differently because there's only like a couple of Civ-owned businesses or official businesses, you could say, in SAF, and I don't really think they have any activity requirements for any of them. Like, there's Weazel News, which is just kind of like you join a Discord server and there you go, you're in Weazel News. There's G6, which does require an application, but I think all of the owners of G6 have been busy in other areas of the department, so they haven't been exactly been active. And then there's like some nature conservative, some sort of nature thing that works up in like Polito Forest and stuff, and like takes pictures of trees and shit. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it, but now there are some businesses like that, but a lot of the businesses are just quote unquote state owned, meaning they're unofficial. Anybody can roleplay as them, like 24/7s, Ammu-Nations, clothing stores, all that stuff is state owned. It's stark contrast to DOJ, where a lot of the stuff in DOJ is like owned by a civilian and managed by actual members. But hey, smaller community is, like I said, it's a smaller community. Nothing really against SAF and nothing they can control themselves. So it is what it is. So yeah, that's kind of just the gist of SAF and my history with it and all that stuff. Now, in terms of the characters are separated into 2 separate categories. We have permanent SAF residents, which are, kind of self-explanatory. They're going to stay in SAF no matter what happens in terms of the DOJ situation. And then there's temporary SAF citizens, which is like Victoria here and Jessica and all the others, that if I am accepted back into DOJ, which, I don't really care if I have to start from probationary again, which would be understandable, banned for 6 months, a lot changes, and I kind of have to re-earn my trust in that community and all that stuff. Plus, I never really used my Master Civ stuff. I never really used my Master Civ perms for nothing more than fancy vehicles anyway. Is that one, if I am accepted back into DOJ, those characters will move back to their quote-unquote home state, and then I'll do just DOJ and SAF at the same time, because I won't be taking DOJ seriously anymore, and I won't let it fucking take over my entire life, so I can hopefully do both communities at the same time again and actually keep a balance between them. like I wasn't able to do before. So yeah, without further delay, I am going to jump into getting all the characters set up. Unfortunately, there's no training server set up, so I can't do this in the comfort of a training server. I have to do it in the live server. So hope to God I don't get dragged into anything, and let's actually start going over all the characters and stuff. So yeah, let's start with that, I guess. Alright, so first off here, starting and out, going through the characters in alphabetical order, of course, we're starting with Cosette Cosmos. She was originally meant to just be a DoJ character, but considering that I didn't get a real opportunity to start a proper story arc with her, I decided to leave her as a SAF character permanently. And she's kind of just like her DoJ counterpart, where she was going to be the, I guess, mischief character, unemployed friend on a Tuesday afternoon type of deal. Except for when she ended up scraping her leg while riding her bicycle, because originally she started out as homeless with just this bicycle to her name. And she scraped her leg. She didn't go to the hospital because she couldn't afford it anyway. It got infected, and a local security guard at the Del Perro Pier called it in because she just, woke up underneath the pier because she just sleeps wherever she can. She was spotted by a local security guard underneath the pier and unable to walk on her now infected leg. EMS showed up and they mentioned something about, hospital support services where they can, help her get her back on her feet because she's only 18. She's only 18, so I RP it that she's been homeless since she was 14 and just skating by doing whatever. And the hospital support program was able to get her a job. It's a low skill entry job, but a job nonetheless. So now she has somewhat of an income. They set her up with a room here at the Bay Inn, a long-term room here at the Bay Inn up in Roxwood. And she works at one of the Roxford clothing stores, which is right here, the Marina Outlet clothing store. Now, obviously, because clothing stores are not a official business, they don't have any official, any official uniform structure, so I just made her look semi-professional. And yeah, she works here for somewhat of an income, obviously not a lot, but hospital support stuff is just the hospital support program team, whatever you want to call it, is just, you know, kind of carrying her a little bit along the way until she builds up something for herself. I don't know which direction to take her right now, to be honest. She's kind of in this twilight zone of, yes, she has a job, but it's not really anything solid or guaranteed right now, or at least it's not solid, like, she can't make a living off of this. It's just an entry level, low skill job, so she's not making a whole lot of money. And she ended up buying a bunch of cheap blunts, which is why she's smoking weed right now. And yeah, I don't know which direction to take her. We'll see what happens going forward. I don't know for sure, but that's pretty much just Cosette Cosmos. She's a business person, business character. But to be fair, she only accepted the job just because of the money. She doesn't really care about, quote unquote, getting back on her feet because she's been homeless since she was 14. She doesn't care about being on her own. She just kind of took this job just to get the hospital staff off her back. And it just, yeah. She only really cares about the money at the end of the day. She doesn't really care about the job itself. So we'll see how it goes in the future. But for now, don't know exactly which direction to take her. But for now, that's her. So moving on to the next one. All right, the next character on the list is Heather Diaz. Kind of like in DoJ, like 90% of my characters are all female. I don't know why, don't ask, but I'm always the guy that plays the fucking female characters despite not having a voice changer or not being good at voice acting or anything like that. But Heather here is actually a character I made because of Kai, because the one or two times she's actually been able to patrol in SAF, she made a 15-year-old character named Mia who is the foster child of my character. I made this character to be the foster mother of her character, but unfortunately she hasn't been able to patrol as much as of the aforementioned time zone issues. So I've just been kind of using her as another business character. She lives here at this big house in Mirror Park. Don't ask me how she can't afford it or afford a big ass van like this. But her place of work is the 24/7 supermarket chains of stores. Technically, it's both 24/7 and LTD, but unfortunately, there's no decent LTD shirt as far as I can tell. It's only the 24/7 shirt, and because the 24/7 stores is another unofficial business, there's no official uniform structure that I have to follow, so I just put on this shirt that says employee on the back and kind of left it at that. So again, don't ask me how she can afford a big house like that, but this is the job that Heather does. So whenever I want to do like a 24/7 hopefully chill business episode, I use her. But unfortunately, a lot of the times it's the same problem with DOJ that I've mentioned before. Either I get absolutely nothing, or maybe like only one or two customers for like a couple of fucking episode or a couple hours, like only like one or two customers in 2 hours, or I end up getting robbed 40 minutes in, and it just kind of kills my mood to continue to keep the store open. So I just close the store and go do something on my own for like however long. So yeah, it's kind of the same thing that kind of plagues DOJ a little bit because, you know, people who want to do criminal RP are going to see me open up a 24/7 store as a perfect opportunity and this, that, and the other. Nothing against those types of people. It's just that it ends up kind of plaguing it a little bit or somewhat. Yeah, I don't want to say that it's like super annoying when that always happens, but it does kind of get old after a while where every time I try to open a business, it's either super dead or I just get robbed 40 minutes in and then, yeah. So, yeah, that's just my personal opinion, but regardless, 24/7, Heather Diaz, this is the character for that. So, yeah, just maybe, hopefully, Kai can get a patrol in once or twice, so maybe we can see kind of Heather and Mia doing stuff together. But regardless, that is Heather Diaz, so that is going to be where we switch characters here. I'm going to go before this guy tries engaging with me. I'm not actually here to fucking patrol. I'm here to just do an intro stuff. So, time to go before I get dragged into something. Alright, so the next character technically is Jessica Longbow, but this is going to cover both Jessica and Victoria Longbow because those two characters are kind of linked, obviously, because they are sisters and because they were my two main characters in DOJ before shit kind of hit the fan and all that stuff. But but because I got terminated, I kind of wanted to keep the story arcs alive so I could kind of come back, and because I had full intentions on coming back, obviously. Where's Victoria here? I do have full intentions on returning as long as they'll, let me. But in order to give a RP reason for them leaving DOJ, just so it's not like, we got deported, this, that, and the other thing, I ended up RPing that Jessica got kidnapped. This was actually Kai's idea. Jessica got kidnapped and brought back to this state, because technically Victoria was originally my criminal character for SAF, but then when I left SAF, I brought her in DOJ to be a secondary Reaper's character, but that obviously flopped. So this is technically both Jess's and Victoria's home state. So when Jess got kidnapped, she was brought back over here, and the RP reason for that is because Jessica obviously worked for both Alice in Battlefield and Emily Battlefield after the whole fiasco with fucking Star happened. and Allison and Emily Battlefield have ties to the Russian Mafia. And I'm pretty sure Brandon brought Allison back, but Jessica doesn't obviously know that Allison is still alive and all that mumbo jumbo. And let's just say the Mafia heard about Allison dying, but they didn't know whether or not to believe it or not because Brandon told me before that his characters are like neck deep in the fucking Mafia and stuff, like their father was or something, and big fiasco with them running away and trying to go into hiding there. So when the Mafia eventually heard that Allison died, they tried looking into it, found that Jessica was closely affiliated with the two of them, so they kidnapped Jessica to try to get answers from her. And obviously, the last thing Jessica heard is that Allison died, and Emily is kind of took over everything. But the Mafia didn't believe her, so they tortured her, kind of brutalized her a little bit, ripped out one of her eyes, left her face super scarred, left her wrists and ankles scarred, and all that stuff. So Jessica physically and mentally is not doing well. So Victoria kind of flew back to her home state to start looking for her, and Alex took a couple of trips up here to visit to try help looking for Jess, as well as to visit Jess after she was found, because Jessica is found. I technically had to force that story arc to end, because when I was doing the investigation for the missing persons report for Jessica, let's just say that the San Andreas investigators that were trying to run the case didn't really appreciate the out of character information and just kind of canceled the investigation halfway through. Because Jessica was eventually found. She was found left half buried in the sand in Polito, on one of the Polito beaches. And she was being questioned by an investigator. I kept having to bring up out of state information because obviously it comes from DOJ, but I guess they didn't like that it was crossing the story arcs between communities. And the investigator straight up just walked out saying that there's no reason for them to be there and kind of canceled the investigation, therefore canceled my entire story arc on it. It did leave a kind of sour taste in my mouth, but I guess that is the risk I took trying to cross a story arc between communities. But I guess I should have asked before, but oh well, at the end of the day, it just means that Victoria and Alex can take it into their own hands. And if I'm allowed back into DOJ, I can kind of continue it there where it belongs, I guess. So, other than that, I haven't really used either Jess or Victoria in SAF that much since that shithole went down. And that's kind of also the reason why I don't really do that much in SAF either, because the one time I tried to do something in this community, it just got shut down immediately because of quote unquote out of state information, which I thought they'd appreciate something that's a little bit more tricky and not everything's handed to them on a silver platter, and the fact that cross-state investigations do happen IRL, so I thought nothing of it, but apparently they didn't appreciate it. So if they want to cancel it on me like that, then I guess I just won't really do anything else like that, at least for a bit. We'll see. I don't know. It did kind of leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, but like I said, it's kind of not 100% their fault because I was technically running a risk crossing the story arcs between communities like that. So, oh well, at the end of the day. But like I said, Jess and Victoria kind of don't really do much now because I just RP that Jess had enough money saved up from when she was working with Allison and Emily that they don't really need to work. They're just kind of laying low here until they can reapply for citizenship back into the other state, aka waiting till September so I can submit a ban appeal and hopefully try to get back into DOJ so these two can move back and just can be with Alex again and Victoria can just do whatever. So yeah, they don't really do much besides, I'm pretty sure like the investigation and the missing persons report was never actually closed. So whenever like a law enforcement person looks them up on the CAD, they'll still see an open missing persons report and an open investigation on them. So I don't want to cause issues with that because at least a lot of the legitimate businesses and like the tow companies and all that stuff in SAF do background checks on characters for, in character immersion, in character purposes. They do background checks, so I don't want that open case to open up and then I have to awkwardly try to explain that the investigators canceled my case because of out of state information. So yeah, they're kind of just laying low, waiting. Maybe if Kai can ever get a SAF patrol in, maybe Alex and Victoria can meet up to try to hunt down the person responsible for fucking Jessica up. So yeah, that's the story with them so far. So obviously I'm including both characters in this section. So there you go. Moving on to the next character. Alright, so next character on the list is Julian Shen, and he obviously was the Ammu-Nation Los Santos regional manager character from DoJ when I was still a member there. And the last thing that happened is that he hooked up with one of Kai's characters, Amelia Brooke, and we started a story arc there. Literally in the middle of trying to continue that story arc is when I got the staffing that fucking terminated me. It was really fucking sad. Like, Kai got up to go to the bathroom. I got called to the staff room after the fucking scene with the highway trooper went down. And when Kai came back from the bathroom, I was sitting there in tears trying to explain to her that I was just fucking terminated from the community. So that was really sad. That fucking hurt a lot, but there was nothing else I could have done. So Julian, in terms of explaining Julian's disappearance, I just pretty much said that he was transferred from the state of DOJ to the state of SAF to help manage the Ammu-Nation stores up here. So, which is why he still has his suit and the little Ammu-Nation caps. Because Ammu-Nation is also another unofficial business, so there's no official roster or anything like that, as far as I can tell. So I'm just gonna RP as a manager because that's what he is. So yeah, if I ever want to do any Ammu-Nation stuff, I can. Julian will be the character that we use. Obviously, he has the body armor on because it's a fucking gun store, and if gun store tries to get robbed, he's gonna fucking defend it and all that fun stuff. But I don't really know where Julian's gonna go because I made it so that right before I got fucking terminated, Amelia actually got pregnant from their first time hooking up, right? And I don't know. I feel bad because Julian isn't there now, right? Julian isn't there, and then apparently fucking Amelia's fucking kidnapped now, and she's doing a whole story arc there to give Amelia a reason to retire from the BCSO, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna want to continue that storyline because it was right because Kai had one thing planned, but I ruined it by getting terminated literally in the middle of trying to continue the story arc. So this is in a weird up in the air spot right now. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I'm gonna feel comfortable using Julian, to be honest, because of that fact alone. But we'll see how it goes, I guess. But that's pretty much Julian in a nutshell there. So let's move on to the next one. Alrighty, so the next character is Lisa Stardust. Lisa is a 19-year-old motorcycle enthusiast, and she lives with her parents here in Vinewood Hills, and she works for her parents' daycare company, who also offers babysitting services. So she she travels around the city doing, babysitting and all that stuff. And she also developed a law enforcement interest, even though she's only 19. She still, has a couple of years till she can actually apply to any LEO department, which I don't even know how auxiliary departments working in this community. I think there's only like a couple auxiliary spots available. I don't know how that works, but she ended up attending a LSMP because the way it works in SAF is that it's the Los Santos Metropolitan Police Department that handles all of the city. Blaine County Sheriff's Office that handles all of the county, and then of course you have the Highway Patrol, which does the highways and shit. And there's no Los Santos County sheriffs either, unlike DOJ. But she attended an open house at the Davis station where a lot of the subdivisions kind of showed off what they got and let the public interact with officers and all that stuff. And Lisa ended up finding that really cool, which she started to develop a law enforcement interest. And then they also hosted a block party like a month or so later. She attended that as well, though it was cut short because of a big priority situation that happened somewhere else in the city. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to quote unquote magically age her up or if I'm actually going to wait a couple years, like IRL, to wait and see if I can get her to, you know, wait that long and actually apply to the LSMP that way, as long as they have auxiliary slots open. But other than that, she kind of just drives around on her motorcycle in her free time. And yeah, that's pretty much Lisa there. So if there's any more like LSPD community events that happen in the future, I'm gonna see if I can maybe have Lisa attend them to continue her law enforcement interest and stuff like that. So we'll see how well it goes. But other than that, that's pretty much Lisa there. So let's move on to the next one. Alrighty, next on the list is none other than Lyandra Sunstrider. Surprisingly enough, Lyandra is actually the only Sunstrider character I brought over to SAF. Everybody else is just kind of waiting to reapply for citizenship in DOJ, if you know what I mean. But Lyandra, as you can see, is still working for Weazel News, just in a different state. And, oh man, her fucking, let's just say the history with Lyandra got real deep real quick. I don't know if I ever had a chance to upload any of the episodes involving Lyandra in the massive backlog of footage that I had that I never got around to uploading before my termination. Is that Lyandra hooked up with one of Kai's characters called Rain Germain, who Rain has a lot of history with the Ballas because both her parents were Ballas, but she, at least for now, didn't have any major ties with them. She wasn't like rolling with them or anything. And then, right, Rain was actually going to the University of San Andreas when she was being harassed by somebody. Lyandra stepped in to help because she was also a off-duty law enforcement officer at the time working as Weazel News. She kind of scared off the fucking person who was harassing her, which caused Rain to ask Lyandra out, and then they fucking hooked up, and then they started dating. But then Lyandra, or Rain's ex-boyfriend and kind of high school sweetheart, Toby, ended up getting brought back into the picture, and then Rain, Toby, and Lyandra actually ended up in a three-way poly relationship. Both Lyandra and Rain ended up getting pregnant, but the day fucking Rain gave birth to twins, I got terminated. So I just said that, Lyandra got deported back to Canada. She cleared things up with the she cleared things up, but she wasn't allowed to go back directly to the state of DOJ. She had to find a different state to go to, which she's now in the state of SAF, and she's just waiting to go back with Rain. She thinks things are okay with Rain and Toby right now, but some out of character drama with DOJ made it so that the person who plays as Toby, I think, quit the group chat that the three of us had to kind of coordinate the story arc. So I don't know how that's going to affect things if and when I'm allowed back into DOJ, but Lyandra's technically just forced to raise her child, which she kind of funny. She named her child Mia Sunstrider, and Kai plays a different character named Mia, so hopefully that doesn't get confusing in the future. But yeah, she's technically forced to raise her child by herself now. But apparently, according to Kai, Rain is getting into some like minor criminal activity for now. We'll see if it ends up escalating. Hopefully, it doesn't escalate to the point where, they can't be together anymore, because I do still plan on having Rain or Lyandra going back to the BCSO as Lyandra, and when I get back to DOJ and like work my way back up to that point where I can apply for reserve departments again. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, me personally, I'd prefer Rain not go too deep into the criminal stuff, but I mean, it's not my character, it's not my choice. And unfortunately, that is the reality of me being fucking terminated from DOJ, is that a lot can happen in 6 months, and I don't know what I'll be going back to if I'm allowed back at all. So sometimes the fucking, like fucking story arcs aren't gonna wait just because I'm fucking stuck here. Just because I got terminated doesn't mean fucking Kai's not allowed to have fun. So I guess we'll just see what the situation looks like if and when that time comes. But for now, whenever I want to do some Weazel news stuff, Lyandra will be the character. And no matter what the fuck happens to Lyandra, I'm never fucking perma-killing her. Like, I know fucking Weazel news reporters are targeted a lot in both SAF and DOJ, but no matter what happens, I am never killing Lyandra off, no matter what happens to her. If she ends up getting killed by somebody, I'm just gonna say that it's not canon and bring her back, because I'm never letting go of this character. Like, there are a few characters that I will not, that I refuse to fucking let go of, and Lyandra is one of them, because of the massive story arc and massive stuff that I have with Kai and, Lyandra and Rain and all that stuff. So yeah, let's just move on to the next character, I guess. Alrighty, so the next character is Micheal VonKeldar. Now, the reason why I'm sitting here in the prison as I talk about this character is because this is the character responsible for Jessica Longbow's kidnapping. However, obviously, the investigation got cut short before much progress could be made. He was arrested and he was charged with the kidnapping stuff. So, although there was no official court date because the investigators gave up on the case and stuff because of all the out of character stuff that I mentioned before, I'm still going to RP that he got hit with all of the charges that they gave him, and he's now serving a lengthy prison sentence. And this is the person that Victoria and Alex are going to be hunting down later on down the line when I have an opportunity to continue that story arc. So I'm thinking that the plan is that if when I'm allowed to go back to DOJ and I'm doing both communities at once, I'm going to say that Micheal gets released out of prison. Jessica and Victoria obviously move back to DOJ, and Victoria starts updating Alex in person about all the information that she got from the fucking case and all that stuff. And then let's just say Micheal gets out of prison and the Mafia is like, we need to fucking tie up loose ends and finish the job and stuff. So Micheal gets sent to the state of DOJ to kind of silence both Jess and Victoria permanently now. Like, Victoria's involvement in the case also got put a target on her back from the Mafia, and then it gives a chance to continue the story arc where the LSMP investigators did not want to, and go back to the community where it all started, where it should continue properly. So we're probably not gonna see much of Micheal at least until September. So this is just more so just another fucking story update and stuff like that. So moving on to the next one. Alrighty, so next on the list is Olivia Fairhaven. If that last name sounds familiar, then it should, because back in my early days at DOJ, I had a Merryweather security character named Jessica Fairhaven, who was obviously killed in the line of duty. And Olivia is her kind of unseen, unspoken sister that after Jessica died in the line of duty, after attending her funeral and getting all that, legal stuff sorted out, she ended up not being able to live with staying in that state, so she moved back. So she moved over to this state of SAF and has just started living here. She doesn't have a job or anything yet. There are a couple options I could maybe bring her down. One of them being that nature the fucking, what's it called? Hang on. The Nature and United Trail Society, which are just a bunch of fucking, people who try to preserve nature and wildlife and stuff. Oh boy. So yeah, that's one of the ways that I could go there, but another one is possibly, I keep seeing advertisements for some sort of traffic police department that I can maybe go down, although all of her tattoos might make it so that, the hair color can change. I'm not worried about the hair color, but the tattoos might be a problem. So I don't know about transit police, but the fucking Nature Trail Society shouldn't be a bother for them, hopefully. But yeah, that's probably where I'm gonna go down with Olivia. Other than that, I haven't really used her a whole lot. She drives around her sister's old Banshee, but other than that, I haven't really had a reason to use her. She's not really one of my main characters yet, but we'll see how things go in the future. But other than that, that's really all I have on Olivia. She just kind of spends most of her time just living here in the Sandy Shores Motel, which obviously, got rebuilt and stuff. So, well, I guess her story is to be determined, I suppose. But other than that, let's move on to the next character. Next up, of course, is none other than Sky Hillcrest, who, of course, if you guys remember, used to be Star Banner until she faked her death to escape the Vipers and stuff, at least when Simon Viper was still there, still in charge, and now she kind of just lives here, kind of keeping her head down and stuff. I don't know if I want to bring her back into DoJ or not, though. I kind of just have her living here under the off the grid, or not really off the grid, but under the radar, kind of using the money she saved up from both her Banner and Viper days just to kind of do whatever she wants and lay low and stuff. But I don't know if I really want to bring her back. Obviously, her and one of Michael's characters, Katie Morgan, obviously had a thing going on, but I don't know. It kind of feels like it didn't really fit in with the Ballas a whole lot towards the end, even before all the mental stuff kicked in. It feels like it never really, you know, what do you call it, fit in really well with them, and I was only really there because Sky and Katie were together, and then it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to bring Sky back or not, because I know that fucking the person who used to play Simon Viper isn't actually in the community anymore, so maybe if, a lot of the old Banner members like Hunter and David and Josh and all that stuff would be willing to put the past behind us and maybe let Star make a triumphant return without fucking without too much negative consequences, then maybe we can do that, but I highly doubt that would be the case or not. I guess I'd have to wait and see until September and I actually get back into the community. But other than that, I mean, Sky just spends most of her time just driving around in the STX that she saved from the Banner days and obviously changed the highlights from blue to purple because she joined the Ballas and stuff. And yeah, she kind of doesn't really do a whole lot. Maybe I'll try to find her a job or something like that. Maybe say she got her commercial driver's license and maybe join one of the fucking tow truck companies in SAF. But other than that, that's basically all I got for Sky/Star. So we'll see how it goes in the future. But moving on to the next character, I guess. Alrighty, so last but not least, we have Sydney Jacknife, who is a 19-year-old commercial truck driver. She got her full license when she was 16 and then her commercial driver's license when she was 18, and she's been driving for her, what do you call it? She's been driving for her parents' shipping and logistics company, adeptly named Jacknife Shipping and Logistics, ever since she got her CDL. She has been interested in another uh, career. She tried applying for one of the tow truck companies, but I think I ended up getting ghosted after failing to understand what a citizen ID was. Because it's kind of cool because this community actually has a phone script where each character has their own SMS card, so you don't have to use the same number for every character. And I kind of got ghosted after trying to deal with all of this, so I don't know. Maybe I'll try again, but we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of a little nervous to try and reach out again or not, but I don't know. But yeah, she pretty much just spends most of her time driving around big trucks like this, doing random deliveries. I kind of just RP that the Jackknife Shipping and Logistics Company gets, you know, commissions or contracts with other companies to just ship stuff around the state for them, and that's how they make money and all that stuff. But it does get kind of boring after a while. Most of the time, I just roll on fucking Taylor Swift. Thanks, Sky, for making me a Swiftie, and just drive around racking up fucking patrol hours with this. So I don't know. Obviously, if I do try to make an episode of the trucking company and stuff, I won't be able to play that music because it's all copyrighted. But we'll see how it goes. I don't know. Other than that, she kind of just keeps to herself most of the time. So yeah, and other than that, there's really nothing else to talk about. Really, that's all it is. All she wrote for San Andreas Finest. I am looking forward to this, but I'm also going to err on the side of caution so I don't make the same mistakes as I have before and kind of, ruin FiveM entirely for myself by, say, getting myself banned from this community too. Right? So, I'm going to err on the side of caution, but I am excited to be able to finally start streaming and recording for this community. But other than that, hope you guys are excited, and we'll see where the story goes. And we'll see what happens in September, too. But other than that, I will see y'all in the next episode. And I'll see y'all. Well, I already said that. I'll see y'all in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.